I want to start today with the Chinese Communist Party. As with all unelected communist regimes, Beijing fears its own people's free thinking more than any foreign foe. We were deeply troubled to learn this week that the CCP detained Xu Jianren for criticizing General Secretary Xi Jinping's repressive regime and the CCP's mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic. He should be released. He was simply telling the truth. He should be released as soon as possible. I'll repeat a theme I've been talking about for months. The CCP has an enormous credibility problem. They failed to tell the world the truth about this virus. And now hundreds of thousands of people all across the world are dead. We need the truth. We still need the truth. We need to open up. We need to engage in a serious way with scientists around the world.
Pompeo 先生，别再跟我们谈什么信誉、真相和责任了。你说的不累，我们听的都累了。
And they now say they're going to allow the WHO to come in. That's great, but the WHO needs to be free to do its real work. We need to make sure the right people are there to engage in this investigation, and we need real answers, not a perfunctory political solution. This is about science, not politics, and the Chinese Communist Party needs to come clean with the world about this virus.
Pompeo 这种说法很虚伪。自疫情发生以来，中国和世卫组织一直保持着密切沟通与合作。
You know, Beijing claimed for months that it reported the outbreak of the virus to the WHO. Now we know that's not true too. We know that the WHO's country office in China reported the outbreak only after it picked up a media statement from the Wuhan Municipal Health Commission. Again, Beijing described Xinjiang's internment camps as vocational training camps. New reports of forced abortions and sterilizations add to a body of evidence that contradicts that. And Beijing said that for 50 years, they'd give the people of Hong Kong a high degree of autonomy. And you all have seen what's happened after only 23 years. Empty promises made to the people of Hong Kong and to the world. I want to give kudos to Google, Facebook, and Twitter for refusing to surrender user data to the Hong Kong government. Other companies should follow them and do the same. And a shout out to our Canadian friends as well. Canada has been strong in its response to Beijing's crackdown. We think that's the right course for the entire world to take. We're heartened to see, too, the United Kingdom have their vigorous debate now on the risk presented to the British people from Huawei technology being in their systems. As FBI Director Wray said yesterday, Huawei is, quote, a serial intellectual property thief with a pattern and practice of disregarding both the rule of law and the rights of its victims.
FBI 说的话你也能信？雷的有关言论无视基本事实，充斥着政治谎言。美方官员做出如此表态，难道是希望美国成为犯罪分子的避罪天堂吗？
I commend to you Director Wray's entire speech yesterday. It is worth the time to watch.
属于我们的呀，也高端的产品，美国也没办法，因为我们完全靠自己，不靠美国。
Attorney General Barr will deliver a set of remarks in the coming days, and then I'll give what will be the fourth in a series of remarks. I want to direct everyone also to a letter that Undersecretary Keith Kroc drafted to CEO, boards of directors, trade groups, commercial and investment firms, alerting them to the CCP's use of slave labor in Xinjiang and providing them with a set of governance recommendations for how they should ensure that they are not part and parcel of this terrible practice. Last China item. The CCP recently filed a boundary dispute with Bhutan at a meeting of the Global Environmental Facility. From the mountain ranges of the Himalayas to the waters of Vietnam's exclusive zone to the Senkaku Islands and beyond, Beijing has a pattern of instigating territorial disputes. The world shouldn't allow this bullying to take place, nor should it permit it to continue.
早在1948年，中国政府就正式公布了南海断续线，在很长时间里没有受到任何国家质疑。中国在南海的领土主权和海洋权益有充分的历史和法理依据，符合有关国际法和国际实践。 中方从来不谋求在南海建立海洋帝国，始终平等对待南海周边国家。
You said yesterday the administration is looking at banning TikTok. I'm curious how serious this ban consideration is. India banned it almost overnight with very little thought. And how soon can we expect that to go into effect?
So with respect to the conversations with the EU, we've actually made some progress thinking about how to do that. So it's unlikely to be the case that it'll be on and off. That is, we will attempt to put in some procedures and protocols that protect both citizens here in the United States from the spread, and it's a global challenge, and we want to make sure that European citizens aren't impacted adversely by travel from the West as well. Lots of people not only come from America, but transit through America to Europe. So we've got to deal with all the complexity that comes with it. But we've made some real progress, technical progress, and now we need to draw that to a conclusion, and then there'll be a system to monitor and measure to make sure that we get the timing right and we get the toggle switches right. Both sides of the Atlantic want to get this back open. Both sides understand that our economies depend on it. The deep, important transatlantic relationship matters. These are two Western democracies that have a lot of good work to do together, and getting those travel nodes hooked back up and connected again is an important thing. With respect to TikTok, I want to put it in the broader context. We have been engaged in a constant evaluation about ensuring that we protect the privacy of American citizens and their information as it transits. So this doesn't relate to any one particular business or company, but rather to American national security. And we are striving to get that light. The comments that I made about a particular company earlier this week fall in the context of us evaluating the threat from the Chinese Communist Party. We've talked about it in the context of ZTE. We've talked about it in the context of Huawei. And we are now evaluating each instance where we believe that U.S. citizens' data that they have on their phones or in their system or in their healthcare records, we want to make sure that the Chinese Communist Party doesn't have a way to easily access that. And so what you'll see the administration do is take actions that preserve and protect that information and deny the Chinese Communist Party access to the private information that belongs to Americans. It's a big project because we've got partners all around the world where infrastructure crosses Chinese technology and then comes to the United States. So one should think about this as a project of real scale and real importance. We must get this right. The infrastructure of this next 100 years must be a communications infrastructure that's based on a Western ideal of private property and protection of private citizens' information in a transparent way. That is not the model that Chinese Communist Party software and hardware companies are engaged in.
Thank you, Secretary. Following up on your remarks about Beijing's pattern of instigating boundary dispute, you know what has happened with India, China's aggressive behavior against India in Leh and Ladakh. What is the situation? What is the assessment of the situation between India and China right now?
So I've spoken with Foreign Minister Jaishankar a number of times about this. The Chinese took incredibly aggressive action. The Indians have done their best to respond to that. I put this in the context of General Secretary Xi Jinping and his behavior throughout the region and indeed throughout the world. I don't think it's possible to look at that particular instance of Chinese Communist Party aggression in isolation. I think you need to put it in the larger context. When I was up here once before, we talked about the number of both maritime and boundary disputes that the Chinese Communist Party has engaged in. I think it's unequaled any place else in the world. There aren't many neighbors that can satisfactorily say that they know where their sovereignty ends and that the Chinese Communist Party will respect that sovereignty. That's certainly true now for the people of Bhutan as well. This is what the world must come together to respond to. This increasing revisionist effort that the Chinese Communist Party is engaged in is something that President Trump has taken incredibly seriously. The United States hadn't done that in previous administrations. We respond to this in a way that we think is appropriate, and we have attempted to communicate to the Chinese leadership that we are serious about this. When I say we, it's not just the United States. We will start very shortly a dialogue with our EU friends on how we collectively can respond to this challenge from the Chinese Communist Party, and I am confident. I'm confident that I think what's happened with the spread of this virus from Wuhan, China, I think the world has seen the true colors of the Chinese Communist Party, and I am convinced more than ever that the free peoples of the world will come to understand the threat that's presented, not only internally inside of China, but importantly that the impact that General Secretary Xi has on the world is not good for free peoples and democracy-loving peoples, and the world will come together to respond to that in a way that is powerful and important and will preserve sovereign nations operating under the rule of law in the way that we have all come accustomed to and benefits people all across the world.
让我们团结，共同飞出的翅膀，一切都是刚刚开始。你爆料，我跟随。